Galatians. Some people are very busy. They hardly have time to sit down and read. Please, if you have to reduce your sleeping hours, reduce it by 30 minutes and just take time to read the Bible. It's good to listen to the Bible. Some people cook, they do their cooking, they're in the car. Please, in the powerhouse, are we together? Let's be together, please. So, in the car, you're driving in the car, listen to the Bible. You're busy in the kitchen, slicing the onions, peeling the potatoes, whatever it is that you're doing, please find time to listen to the Bible. Then later on, you can read it. It's on your phone. You know, thank God for technology in this day and age. So the book of Galatians is it's just 6 chapters long. And it was written to Christians. It was written by Apostle Paul. And he wrote it to solid Christians, not growing Christians, not baby Christians. It was written to solid Christians. So please, let's read the whole chapter. Because when we read it, we're going to see some things in ourselves. When I was reading it, I said, God, this is me. God, I repent. So, and the word of God is like a mirror. When you look into a mirror and you see something funny on your face, you make the necessary adjustments. So that's what the Bible does as well. So in Galatians chapter 1 verse 6, Paul spoke to the Galatians there, in the church in Galatia, the Christians. He said, I marvel that ye are so soon removed from him that called you into the grace of Christ unto another gospel. So these were children of God who started very well. They accepted Christ. They knew about the crucifixion, about his resurrection. They knew everything. But along the line, some things were introduced to them, heresies, and they started to follow a different gospel. And in this day and age, there are some Christians like that. And it's so subtle. They come in a very subtle way. So we have to be very careful. Then it goes on to say, when we get to read it, but another one I want to bring out is in chapter 3. Chapter 3, verse 1. And thank God that Brother Paul noticed what was going on, and he cautioned them. A man who cannot be cautioned, or who has nobody to caution him, is on his way to destruction. My mother always says that the dog who will not hear, the dog who is going to be destroyed, will not hear the whistle of the hunter. And there are some people, when God has given up on them, God himself will take away their wisdom. And what they think that is wisdom is actually foolishness. And with their own hands, they will destroy themselves. So please, whenever you have anybody, a parent, a line manager, a friend, a husband, spouse that can correct you or instruct you or just give you a word of encouragement, please cherish such a person. Everybody needs it. So Brother Paul was speaking to the Christians in Galatians chapter 3. He said, O foolish Galatians, who have bewitched you, that ye should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Jesus Christ hath been evidently set forth, crucified among you. They believed in all of these things, the crucifixion, but all of a sudden, false doctrine came in, unsound teachings came in, and they started to bend. We will not bend in Jesus' name. We will keep on holding on to the work of the Lord, to the words of God. It goes on to say, are you so foolish? Having begun in the spirit, are you now made perfect by the flesh? How some children, some Christians begin very well. They start in the spirit, but they end in the flesh. They start loving God, then all of a sudden they drop the standards, they throw caution to the air. By no fault of theirs, but because somewhere along the line they tripped and nobody helped them, and they didn't help themselves. So this Christian race, Bible says, looking unto Jesus as the author and the finisher of our faith. Looking unto him, we must not look away. The minute we look away, we will begin to sink. And that was what happened to Peter. When Peter was called by Jesus Christ, he said, come, and he was walking on water. He was walking and he was actually taking steps. But the minute he took his eyes off Jesus, he saw the boisterous sea and he started to sink. So please, we must continually look unto Jesus as the author and the finisher of our faith. So it was in that line that Brother Paul was talking to the Galatians, then chapter 5 in verse 17. Let's look at 5:17. He said something there. He says, for the flesh lusteth after the flesh, against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh. So our flesh, the person that we are more likely to obey and respond to is the flesh. You want to fast, and the flesh is saying, have that yogurt, it's not food. It's liquid now. It's not like water, it's just white and it's a bit thick, but it's liquid. then we yield to the flesh. So the flesh and the spirit are always fighting each other. And because we're in this body, as long as we still have our breath, the battle will always go on. The battle will keep on raging between the flesh and the spirit. Even those who are general overseers, those who are bishops, those who are pastors, those who are reverends, they have the flesh. Everybody is subject to temptation. And to be tempted is not a sin. It's when one yields that it becomes a sin. We can resist temptation by the grace of God. Amen. And we can also resist temptation by not putting our place in the atmosphere, in the arena of temptation. For instance, if you know what your soft spot is, you know what your weakness is, then move away from that place. Because if you don't move away, then you're likely not to be able to have the strength, the grace to resist temptation. So the flesh and the spirit are always at war in this body. We live in this body, we have the spirit, and we have a soul. In the soul, so many contentions going on. And the spirit and the soul always, and the flesh, everything, the spirit and the soul and the flesh are one. We can use them interchangeably. So he said in verse 18, but if ye be led of the spirit, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, and it goes on and it goes on. Then it goes on to say in verse 22, but the fruit of the spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, which is also self-control. Against such there is no law. And they that are Christ have crucified the flesh with the affections and lust. If we live in the spirit, let us also walk in the spirit. Let us not be desirous of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. Then it goes on, brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore such an one in the spirit of weakness. So when people fall, we are not to laugh at them, but we are to help them out. Listen to them, not condemn them. And people are at different levels. What you are able to easily walk away from is what somebody is still struggling with. And the person still struggling with it, it doesn't mean that he will continue to struggle. In the next 5 years, he could be strong enough and walk away easily from it. But we have to watch out for one another, and the Lord will help us in Jesus' name. It says, in the spirit of meekness, considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. For if a man think himself to be something, when he is nothing, he deceiveth himself. But let every man prove his own work, and then shall he have rejoicing in himself alone, and not in another. All these words are pregnant with meanings. So it still goes on to say, about the fruit of the Spirit. It talks about meekness here. It talks about humility. We are not to think ourselves of anything. Whatever it is that we have, who gave it to us? God gave it to us. You have the brilliance, you have the intelligence, you have the energy, you have the anointing. Whatever it is you have the beauty, you have the talent you have has been given to us by God Almighty. There are so many people who are wiser than us, but in the mental hole. There are so many people who are more educated than us, and we know where they are. Something has happened to them, but we thank God for keeping us alive, and we pray that His mercies will continue to be on our side in Jesus' name. So we are always to remember this. Then it says, for every man shall pay his own body. 6. Let him that is taught in the word communicate unto him that teacheth in all good things. Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. For he that soweth to his flesh shall of the flesh reap corruption, but he that soweth to the Spirit shall of the Spirit reap everlasting life. Simply says, just don't satisfy the flesh. Let's subdue the flesh. Let's put the flesh under subjection. Let's crucify the flesh. Is it easy? No. But is it possible? Yes. By being disciplined. And God will give us the grace to be disciplined, to be determined, and to be, to be diligent in Jesus' name. And I'll round up. It says in verse 9, and let us not be weary in well-doing. Now the well-doing is all that has been mentioned above. The fruits of the Spirit. Somebody has fallen. We help the person to stand. Verse 4, we prove our own work. As a worker, prove your own work. If you are a server in the house of God, you serve the children, then do it diligently and cheerfully. If you serve God outside there, when you help the homeless, you go to the elderly, old people's home, then do it, and don't be angry that nobody has joined you, because that is your own calling. Find your place and enjoy it. Find your place and excel in it. I will mind my business, you mind your business. So if you like to start to clean the sanctuary after the service, you roll up your sleeves and you bring out the vacuum cleaner, you begin to vacuum the floor, so be it, do it joyfully. If I just walk away, you don't know what I'm doing upstairs. Maybe I'm counting money upstairs. So let's just please God and let's find something to do. We thank God for the Workers' Appreciation evening. The ministers are saying thank you to the workers, but God is saying thank you to each and every one of us, because it is Him that we are working for. So it says, be well, let us not be weary in well-doing. Don't be weary in long-suffering. Don't be weary in gentleness. Don't be weary in self-control. Don't be weary in all of these things. And that's our thing, that's the text for this month. Let us not be weary in well-doing. For in due season we shall reap if we faint not. As we have therefore opportunity, let us do good to all men. What's the meaning of all men? All, everybody. The Muslims, the strangers, the Hindu, all everybody. You're the same nationality, different gender, the child, the elderly ones, all men. Then the Bible corrects it and puts it in a proper order. The Bible says, especially unto them who are of the household of faith. So your Christian sister sitting next to you, your brother sitting next to you, be good to them. Be polite. Show meekness. Show kindness. Show love. Show patience. That's what the Bible teaches. Now in verse 9, as I pause here, what's the most important word to you in verse 9? Let's look at it again. And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not. What's the most important word? Faint not. Somebody saying faint not. That's for her. To somebody else? Weary. Weary is the most important. Okay. Weary and faint not, they're similar, aren't they? Okay. Yes, somebody else?
Well-doing.
Well-doing. Okay. Well-doing is the key to someone. Yes. Reap. Okay. Brother Kesley, reap. If. Okay, because that changes it. That's the condition. If. Yes, Minister Martha? Due season. So you're all right. You all have different, all your answers are right. I don't know why they've removed it. Thank God I have my Bible. And let us not be weary in well-doing. So to somebody who is about to be weary, about to give up, because you just fed up. You know when you're fed up, you're just fed up. People are just fed up and they just want to walk away. They say this thing is not working. I want to encourage you that it is just about to work. I pray that you will not give up before your breakthrough. You will not break down before your breakthrough. And delay is not denial. That things are being slowed down doesn't mean that it will never ever happen. It goes on to say that in due season, I love the word due season. To me, all the answers you've given are right, but for me, mine is due season. And due season, it means that there's a season. So your season is different from mine. You understand? Somebody sent me something yesterday, a clip, a video clip. I don't know how many of us got it. About one lady who was saying, it's okay, please stop putting pressure on me. Don't tell me when I'm going to get married. Stop reminding me of my sister, of my friend who got married. Don't tell me when I'm going to bring your husband. Stop putting pressure on me. Is it by force? And I said, it's so true. Because on somebody's wedding day, anybody's single, how are you? When are we eating your rice? I said, God forgive me, that's what I've been doing. So, at the end of the day, every man's season is different. That you've gotten you now have a permanent job, that's your season. Let me just rejoice with you. I should not be envious, I should not be jealous. My own time will come. Due season. Different season is different from yours. Yours is different from mine, but there's something called season. And it's called due, at the right time. And that right time, due simply means God's timing. God's timing. At God's time, God is never, God doesn't sleep. Satan can never take over from God. So please, I want you to hold on to your own word, but please hold on to due season. And let us encourage ourselves with the word due season. The season will come. It's the due season and it's on God's timetable. God hasn't given us the date, but we know that it will certainly come. It may tarry, but it will surely come in Jesus' name. So due season. Now due season can also mean, when am I going out to bless somebody out there? This is the season. When am I going out there to offer my shoulder for somebody to lean on? This is the season. Because generally speaking, we're talking about last month it was go and do likewise. And this month it is what? Well doing. So we can't, obviously we should do good, we should be good to everybody, especially members of the household of faith. So as we're being nice to one another, let's also stretch our legs, let's stretch our hands, let's roll up our sleeves and be good to the community that God has placed us in. And as we talk about it, we are taking actions. Thank God we have 3 projects already at hand. We have the firemen, we're going to host them on the 30th of March. We have the ambulance service people, we're hosting them. And of recent, we just found the road sweepers. The road sweepers are the bin men and the bin women. We're going to bring them to church and we're just going to give them a wonderful time. We're going to approach Asda, we're going to approach Tesco, we're going to ask them to give us food for these people. We'll tell them what the project is all about. They're going to respond positively. They're going to be in attendance. And by the grace of God, the church will begin to be light and salt in this community in Jesus' name. We will not just be a face on in the crowd. And like the video we watched earlier on, how many of us watched the video? The video from 1970 something, in the 70s, 17 something to date, to 2015. They collated moments in Merton, 50 moments in Merton. Sister Henning, there was nothing about any church. There was no mention of a church. From 17 something to 2015, 50 significant moments in Merton. And there was no mention of any church in that 40-minute clip. The church, somebody said the church is in the church. We love our church, we love our carpet, we love our chairs, we love one another, we hug each other, we get into our cars and we drive off. But that's going to stop in Jesus' mighty name. We're going to go out there and know our neighbors and be a blessing to them. And when next they collate a clip like that, the churches will be prominent. The word mosque came up twice. Mosque came up twice. And there are 44 churches in Merton and only 4 out of 5 mosques. There are 5 mosques. 44 churches in Merton, Pentecostal churches, the Anglican, Catholic, Baptist, Methodist, but no church was mentioned in that 40-minute clip. 50 minutes in Merton, 50 moments in Merton, and the church did not feature at all. Say to your neighbor, that will end in Jesus' name. Because I'm going to make the church prominent. I'm going to be salt and light. I'm going to be Christ ambassador. I'm going to go out there and be the good Samaritan. I'm going to do well. I'm going to do good. And the church will become prominent in this community in Jesus' name. Not just my church, but the churches. Every Bible-believing church in Merton shall have a voice. Will not be an echo. I will not be a shadow in Jesus' mighty name. So that's the theme for the month. How many of us are ready to flow with the theme of the month? Okay, can we stand to our feet, please? As your hands are raised up, can you say, God, use me? Okay, thank you.